Are you starting your journey in UX design and feeling overwhelmed by where to begin? You're not alone. Today, we're cutting through the noise to highlight 5 essential concepts that will set the foundation for your career. From mastering UI design to conducting your first interview, I'll guide you through practical steps and insider tips to kickstart your path with confidence. And stick around to the end because I'll reveal the #1 mistake beginners make and how you can avoid it. Hey friends, I'm Chris Abad. I have more than 20 years of experience in UX design. I've worked with some of the best design teams in the world at companies like Dropbox and Google. I've even started 3 companies of my own. On this channel, I share many of the tough lessons I've learned about what it takes to succeed in this industry. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or just starting your career, this channel offers insights you're not going to find anywhere else. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. First, let's talk about user interviews. This is a good way to gather in-depth insights into your users' needs, experiences, behaviors, motivations, all through having a one-on-one conversation with them. It's a really good way to get those insights that other methods just can't. It'll give you a solid foundation for user-centered design decisions. They're crucial for understanding the problems and challenges that users face directly from the users themselves. Let's talk about how you can learn to do user interviews. The first thing that you need to do is plan your interview. Start by defining clear objectives for your interviews. What do you need to learn? Who's your target audience? Planning ensures your interviews are focused and productive. The next thing you want to do is craft effective questions. Develop open-ended questions that encourage detailed responses. Avoid leading questions that could bias the answers. The way you frame your questions is what's going to help you elicit rich, insightful responses from the people you're interviewing. When you're in an interview, be sure to build rapport. Establishing a connection with the interviewee is crucial for a successful interview. Techniques such as expressing genuine interest, active listening, and mirroring body language can create a comfortable environment that encourages openness. After conducting the interview, organize the data to identify patterns and insights. Here's a few extra tips for you. These days, it's really common to do user interviews remotely, so be sure you have a reliable setup and plan for technical issues. For example, be sure to test your equipment beforehand and make sure you're using the right software. Using something like Google Meet or Zoom will work just fine. Also, it's best practice to always get consent before recording interviews. This helps ensure your participants' privacy and confidentiality. Now let's talk about a few things to avoid. First of all, one thing that's really important to avoid is confirmation bias. That means avoid seeking information that only confirms pre-existing beliefs or hypotheses. Approach your interviews with an open mind, ready to learn and be surprised what users share. Also, be careful not to underestimate the amount of time required to do these. Analyzing the data afterwards can be pretty time-consuming. Make sure you allocate sufficient time after the interview for thorough analysis and synthesis. If you're looking for extra help, I recommend checking out the book Interviewing Users: How to Uncover Compelling Insights. This book is a comprehensive guide to conducting user interviews, offering practical advice and techniques. You might also want to check out tools for helping you analyze the data. Using tools like user testing or Dovetail really helps organize and analyze the data from user interviews. Next, let's talk about ideation. Ideation is the creative process where you generate, develop, and communicate new ideas. It's a really critical phase in UX design where your creativity meets your problem-solving skills to explore innovative solutions. Getting really good at ideation is what can lead to breakthrough solutions to user problems. And that is ultimately what's going to drive the success of your projects. It ensures you're considering a diverse range of ideas before selecting the best path forward. Here's a few tips to get you started. First of all, make sure you have a diverse set of inspiration sources. This means regularly exposing yourself to a wide range of design work, art, technology, and even things around you. It's really common for unexpected sources to spark innovative ideas. Another tip is to have structured brainstorming sessions. Adopt techniques like Crazy Eights or How Might We's. This helps guide the brainstorming exercise. These methods are tailored to help you generate more focused and productive ideas. Another tip is to be sure that you collaborate across disciplines. Engage with people from different backgrounds during ideation sessions. Insights from engineering, marketing, sales, these can all introduce new perspectives and help enhance your creative solutions. Also, be sure to embrace constraints. Rather than seeing constraints as limitations, see them as creative challenges. Setting specific boundaries can often lead to more innovative thinking. Also, you gotta practice regularly. Ideation, just like everything else, improves with practice. Set aside time for regular brainstorming sessions, even on hypothetical projects, to refine your ideation techniques. And here's a few bonus techniques. First of all, be sure to silence your internal critic. During those ideation phases, focus on quantity over quality. Allow all those ideas to flow without judgment to encourage creativity. Another idea is to try using analogies and metaphors. Thinking in analogies can help you bridge the gap between unrelated concepts, and sometimes that's what leads to unique solutions. Also, try moving around. A lot of people say that physical activity can help stimulate creative thinking, so maybe hold a walking brainstorming session. Now, here's a few things to avoid. Stay away from groupthink. You gotta be careful of ideation sessions where everyone seems to quickly agree on a single idea without exploring any of the others. You want to encourage diversity of thought to avoid settling in too quickly. Also, be careful of burnout. Intense brainstorming sessions can be mentally exhausting. Balance those creative sessions with breaks and other activities to make sure that you're maintaining your energy and enthusiasm. If you want a little more help, here's a few other resources. Check out Creative Competence by Tom Kelly and David Kelly. This book explores how to harness creativity for problem solving. Also, another book I really like is Game Storming. That book has a lot of really great activities for brainstorming with groups, including one of my favorite activities, Crazy Eights. The next important skill you should know is wireframing. Wireframing is a crucial step in the design process where you create a blueprint of your website or your app. It helps you focus on the layout of the content and the functionality and also the user flow without getting too much into the details like, colors and images. It's just a great way for you to visualize the basic structure of what you're creating, and sometimes also it allows for early testing and iteration of your ideas. It's a good way to help ensure that the complete user experience is considered from the very beginning. So how can you learn how to wireframe? Make sure you clarify the goals of what you're wireframing. This ensures that you know what you want to achieve, which will guide your design decisions. Also, make sure you choose the right tools. A lot of people like to use digital tools for wireframing, but you can also just use a pen and paper. Make sure you start with low fidelity. Just make some simple sketches to outline the basic structure and layout. This step is really crucial for brainstorming and iterating on ideas quickly. Then you can add more details as you go, moving from low fidelity to high fidelity. Also, make sure you get feedback early and often. Share your wireframes with team members or stakeholders and gather insights and make necessary adjustments before moving on to more detailed design stages. Here's a few extra tips. First, focus on the user flow. Make sure your wireframes clearly represent how users are going to navigate through your design. So pay attention to the logical sequence of screens and actions. Also, make use of generous annotations. This is where you describe the interactions and transitions and intended behaviors so that way you can communicate your design vision more effectively to the people around you. Also, when it comes to wireframing, here's a few things to definitely avoid. The first trap that people fall into is they just skip this step entirely and go straight to high fidelity designs. That can definitely lead to foundational usability issues being overlooked. Also, a lot of people overcomplicate the wireframe with way too much detail way too soon. This can really hinder your flexibility and creativity in the early stages of your design process. The next important skill I want to talk about is visual design. Visual design is the way that you use imagery, color, shapes, and typography to do things like enhance usability or just in general improve the overall user experience. It's about making an interface that's not only functional, but also aesthetically appealing. Visual design is important because it plays a really big role in user engagement and also their perception, how they feel about the experience that they're interacting with. If you want to learn visual design, the first thing you need to do is study the basic principles of design, like contrast and balance and hierarchy. And then, like anything else, you gotta practice. A really common way that people practice is just by redesigning other apps that you really like. But if you don't want to do that, you can also just create your own projects from scratch. Here's a few tips to help you along the way. First of all, before diving into color and typography, focus on the layout. Use things like grids to create a solid structure. Also, typography matters, but is often overlooked. The typography in your design can have a really significant impact on readability and aesthetic. So try experimenting with different fonts that help you understand their effect on your design's mood and clarity. Also, use color with purpose. Color can be used to create a hierarchy, to draw attention, and also evoke a certain emotional response from the user. Just remember that often less is more when it comes to your color palette selection. Also, be sure to pay attention to the little things. Small adjustments in spacing, alignment, and contrast can dramatically improve the overall look and feel of your design. If you want a good place to look for inspiration, I find Dribbble to be a great place to go. Also, when it comes to visual design, here's a few common mistakes I see a lot of people making. First, they overlook the power of white space, which can lead to cluttered designs. Also, sometimes people ignore visual hierarchy, and that really makes it hard for users to navigate the interface. Also, it's really common for people to forget about accessibility, like not considering color blindness. The last skill I want to talk about, you may not think of as a design skill, but it's so important. It's design critiques. Critiques involve a structured and purposeful discussion aimed at evaluating your design work and giving you constructive feedback. These sessions are crucial for refining your own designs, but also fostering open communication with your team and encouraging a collaborative environment. This is the #1 way to help designers gain new perspectives on their work. It helps uncover areas for improvement and helps you refine your designs to better meet user needs. They're essential for the iterative design process, but also building a culture of feedback within your team. Design critiques are a skill that you can learn and improve at, just like anything else. First, make sure you properly prepare your work. Clearly articulate the goals of your design and also specify the areas where you want feedback. That preparation ensures the critique is focused and also productive. Next, you want to set the stage. Provide context for your design decisions at the start of each critique session, including the problem you're solving, the user you're targeting, and any constraints you had. As you're getting feedback, make sure you're embracing a growth mindset. You want to approach critiques with openness and a desire to learn. You want to view feedback as an opportunity for growth rather than any sort of personal attack. But you can also guide the feedback. Make sure you ask specific questions to help steer the feedback you want to receive, ensuring that it's constructive and also aligned with your design objectives. Here's a few tips for you as you work to improve your design critique skills. First, active listening. Make sure you take notes and ask clarifying questions. Be sure to resist the urge to immediately defend your work. That helps to make sure that you have a full understanding of the feedback before you respond. Then, after the critique, make sure you follow up. You can summarize the feedback that you received and outline your next steps. Share your plan on how you plan to incorporate the feedback, or explain why certain suggestions might not be pursued. Here's a few extra resources to get you going. Check out the book, Discussing Design, Improving Communication and Collaboration Through Critique. This book offers in-depth insights into making design critiques more effective and collaborative. Here's a few traps to avoid. First, don't take the feedback personally. It's really important to separate yourself from your work and focus on the goal of improving the design. Also, avoid overly vague feedback. You want to aim for specific, actionable feedback that can directly impact the design, both when giving and also receiving feedback. Remember at the beginning of the video when I said there's one common mistake I see beginners make? Well, they don't know how to communicate their designs effectively with stakeholders. See, you can have all these skills down, but if you can't explain your designs and the why behind them, you're still going to struggle. If you're having trouble explaining your design decisions to non-designers, I recommend checking out this book. It's called Articulating Design Decisions, and it'll give you some principles as well as actionable steps to improve your ability to do so. And if you'd like me to really break down how to improve your communication skills with stakeholders in an upcoming video, let me know in the comments. I'll see you next time.